Let's get right to the running back rankings, but first I got to say a couple of words about Jerry Jones, who said this week that you don't need to have a rushing champion to win a Super Bowl title, which is weird because Jerry has won 3 Super Bowls. All 3 of them when Emmitt Smith was the NFL rushing leader. I know that was like 100 years ago, and the NFL has changed drastically. So Jones is pretty much right. You don't need an NFL running champion to win a Super Bowl. Patriots have kind of proven that point in recent years with a host of running backs who could go out there and get the job done. But realize the Patriots did rank 5th in the NFL in rushing last season, so running the ball is important. So you don't need the NFL rushing leader to win a title, but Jerry Jones does. And especially as presently constructed the Dallas Cowboys do. Not only is he one of the better running backs in the game, he's obviously an ace, but he also had 77 receptions last year. So good luck getting that with Freddie Morris next season, who I love, but good Lord, he is not a good receiver out of the backfield. So I think that's going to be a huge issue. But as we go through these rankings, let's just go under the guys that everybody is going to be there week 1, because of course we can go back and adjust it. Here are the 10 best running backs for fantasy this season. We start at number 10, Todd Gurley. Look, you currently don't want to pay the optimal retail price. It's like if you're buying a used car. You walk into the dealership, and when a car is used, you expect a little price reduction mixed in. But if it's the MSRP of a brand new car, yeah, I'm not paying that price. So Todd Gurley in the first, that's not happening. So we will get that out of the way right there. But he is still a pretty good running back. Last year, if you took 70% of his production, he is still the RB10, which is great. This is still a high-flying offense. Todd Gurley is still going to be a part of it. So I'm happy to get Todd Gurley. I am just not paying full price. I'm not going into the first round. Now, of course, I could sit here and be like, oh, if I could get Todd Gurley in the 5th, yeah, no S. That's what everybody would like. But you know what? I think the end of the 2nd round, early 3rd round for sure. I'm not drafting him in the 1st round, but he's still a top 10 fantasy running back. Number 10, let's go with James Conner. He did very well last season when he was thrown in at the last moment, and the Steelers always have a way of finding these running backs who can come in and fulfill whatever job that they need, but also they find a way to grind these guys into dust. Now, last year, the thing with James Conner, and this is what I want you guys all to take going forward, is that he ranks 6th in the NFL with 113 rushing yards, scrimmage yards per game. He was 4th in touches per game. But after week 9, he topped 100 scrimmage yards in a game only once. He fought through injuries. He had some other concerns going on. But the thing is, I'm undaunted a little bit because first-year starters are going to run into a little bit of a wall. He knows what he needs to do to get his body prepared for an entire season. And the Steelers are just much better when he touches the football. The Steelers were 5-0-1 when he touched the ball at least 20 times. They're going to give him the ball an awful lot this season. Mike Tomlin's not going to change his game plan. I understand there's some guys there as sort of satellite backs, but James Conner is still a very viable RB1 for me. He comes in as my 9th-ranked guy. Now, number 8, Melvin Gordon. I know, one of the holdouts, the first one that we're going to be talking about, and it's there. And we can adjust these rankings as things go on over the summer. Now, and the thing about the Chargers, too, is that they have a history of these things kind of going bad. You know, Joey Bosa held out forever. I remember being a Chargers season ticket holder the year that A.J. Smith wanted to put some weird label on Antonio Gates. He missed the first game of the season against the Dallas Cowboys, which they lost when they had an opportunity to score like 4 times from the 5-yard line. So it was awful. So that was terrible. Antonio Gates holdout. So the history of the Chargers still leaves me a little queasy, but I'm of the belief that Melvin Gordon is going to get this settled. And when he goes out there, he is a very productive running back. He's not a threat to finish in the top 3. He never does. That's just not his thing. He doesn't stay healthy enough. He's not on the field enough. They're still going to have Justin Jackson and Austin Eckler be a part of this offense, but he's a top 8 running back, and he's been so in each of the last 3 seasons. So Melvin Gordon, it just stands to reason I will put him at number 8. Number 7, this is where we're going to argue, where we're going to have some problems. We might have a throwdown. Damian Williams. I'm a fan of anybody who is going to be the RB1 for Andy Reid. I know that Carlos Hyde is there. That's weird. Like, being weird that Carlos Hyde is on the roster is like, yeah, I don't think Seth Rollins is going to be pushed because Drake Maverick is there. Which is, okay, that's unfair to Drake Maverick. I like him. I met him. Super nice guy. Cheap shot. I know. I won't let that happen again. But you get the point. Carlos Hyde is not coming in and usurping anybody. There is just no way that it's going to happen. If you look at the history of Andy Reid, he has always relied on one running back. Brian Westbrook, LaShawn McCoy, Jamal Charles. Now, I saw some research out this week that perhaps Andy Reid isn't the running back whisperer that everybody wants him to be. However, when you consider how good running backs have been for Andy Reid, and even though Damian Williams is a little bit of a journeyman, I'm still pretty comfortable with the fact that he is going to end up being the RB7 for the coming season. Now is when things start to get interesting. 5 and 6, I think, are interchangeable. But I got to tell you something. Let's have some real talk here. Le'Veon Bell. He came out and apologized to fantasy enthusiasts on social media. And you know what? I'm going to take his word for it. He didn't want to hold out. And I'm a huge fan of his coming into the season. He said he would like to touch the ball 500 times, and which is great because I would like to star in the next Tarantino flick. So it's good that we have these things that we are striving to be. But I think his 500 carries are probably a little bit more realistic, or 500 touches, I should say. But Adam Gase, you know what? Might just oblige him. Gase was there with the power struggle and ended up firing GM Mike McGannon, or whatever his name is, after he went on this wild spending spree in the offseason, and he did the draft. No team spent more money than the Jets this year. It's like he knew he was coming to the end, so he was just maxing out that corporate credit card. He's like, yeah, C.J. Mosley, done. Let's make this happen. Le'Veon Bell, whatever he wants. And now Gase is like, yeah, can we return this? Like, this is not the running back that I wanted to, have out here. Is there any way I can't bring this back? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. And it's like, you have this furniture and you realize, I don't want to pay for this. I don't want this furniture long term, so I'm going to ruin it, which is exactly what I think that he's going to do. And, you look at the amount of carries he's going to be getting. He's the best guy in that offense. He's their best running back. He's their best receiver. He's their best everything. He's not their best quarterback because I'm a huge Sam Darnold guy. And by the way, Tesoro Football, you can stop being upset at me. I gave you a little bit of run. You guys are happy. Where's the love? Where is the love? I wanted the love on the sideline when I was covering you guys, and your coach was a D to me. But in any event, Le'Veon Bell is going to have a monster season. I'll take anybody who wants to, who's unmatched, unquestioned, and he is the number one guy in that backfield. He is their number one receiver. You have a young quarterback who is going to get him the ball as much as possible. Le'Veon, I might have him too low at number 6. The only reason is number 5, David Johnson, and I want all the shares of the Cardinals offense. This is simply going to be like no in-between with the Cardinals here. Either he joins this club and they become the most dynamic offense since, the greatest show on turf and all that stuff, where they just come out and set the NFL on fire. Or else this is going to end up being one of the worst experiments in the NFL, I should say, like Steve Spurrier. I don't know if you kids are young enough to remember Steve Spurrier. I don't even know, is Steve Spurrier still on television? He's the dude in the Dr. Pepper commercials. He was actually a very good college coach at Florida, went to Washington. We thought his precepts were going to work, and they did for a couple of weeks. The thing with Spurrier, though, is that he wasn't a hard worker. He was a 9-to-5 guy, and he was like, hey, I got this sick offense. It's going to work, which is fine when you're going out and playing against, some lower-level Florida mid-Atlantic teams or whatever. But when you're in the NFL and these coaches watch tape religiously, round the clock, like you're streaming Orange is the New Black, well, then they figure out ways to beat you. And Spurrier's like, oh, you figured it out. That sucks. That's it. He's like a renter. Like, he's not putting any money. He's like, whatever. I don't think that's going to be a problem with Cliff Kingsbury. As a matter of fact, I believe that Cliff is going to be a very good NFL head coach. I believe that his offense is going to improvise, adapt, and overcome as I'm going full gunnery sergeant Tom Highway. The thing of it is, and here's my deal, is that Kingsbury, when he was at Texas Tech, one of the best parts of his offense was that he always got rid of the ball quickly. His offensive line was terrible at Texas Tech. You're not recruiting to Lubbock, although somehow he got Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield to buy in and move out there. But at the same time, he's got this offense that's going to work in the NFL because that's the way the NFL is now. If Steve Spurrier had come along now, I mean, notwithstanding the desire not to do anything, to be a huge lazy behind, I think that it could have worked. And this is going to work for Cliff Kingsbury. And by the way, I don't know if you saw his Madden profile. This dude was heated. Like, he was getting into his players because they got all caught up in their feelings because their ratings were high enough. And then Cliff Kingsbury saw himself on the sideline of Madden 20 and was like, I look terrible. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it's like to be an Uggo. Now you know what it's like when the shoe is on the other foot. So you have to deal with that, Cliff Kingsbury. But I think he's going to deal very well. And David Johnson's my number 4. I might even eventually move him ahead of my number 4 guy, Ezekiel Elliott. Of course, right now he's in Cabo training. Yeah, that's what he's doing. He's training. That's what I try to tell my boss when I'm always working from home. I'm usually at some coffee shop throwing down some nitro cold brews, and then I'm cutting out of there around 2 o'clock to go walk over to the Slice in New York pizza place, throw down a slice. Maybe I get a Lagunitas. I don't know. They could take us anywhere. But by the way, if you do get an opportunity to check out the brand new creations coming to you from the Stone Brewery, the original to me, although I know Sam Adams likes to claim it, but I think Stone Brewery was the first one that I ever remember. The Tropic of Thunder Lager. Stone Brewery just sent me a 6er of it, and it's delightful. But that's what Ezekiel Elliott's doing. He's sitting down there, pounding some stones, having a good time, working out. But he's got to go out and make his money. And as I said at the top of the show, the Cowboys can only win with him running the football. That's the way they built their team. Hey, if you want to be one of those analytics experts that doesn't want to rely on the running back, I'm not going to stop you. Don't make one the 4th overall selection. Ezekiel Elliott's your best running back. He is your second best receiver. You brought a 90-year-old guy out of the broadcast booth, if for no other reason because he was shamed out of the Monday Night Football booth. He's like, I'd rather go play football again. And he's going to go do that. And Jason Witten is the guy who, whenever you go, like, if you're on the other side of 30, and I think I mentioned this last week, at some point you go out there and you're like, dude, we're going to go out. Oh, yeah, we're going to go day drinking? Yeah, we're going to go to the baseball game. Then we're going to stop by Golden Road on the way home. And then we're going to go to the Rip. And then we're going to go to Tsunami. And we're going to do that. Yeah, no. The reality is you have 2 beers at St. Archer. You're done for the day. You want to go home and take a nap. You're probably not going to go out to dinner, but it's Brittany and Mariko's last day. So you go and do it anyways. But whatever. I'm going to probably be off Ezekiel Elliott, but he's currently my number 4. Christian McCaffrey comes in at number 3 for me. And this, I don't know if you guys caught the top 100. He doesn't even crack the top 40. He was the 6th player in NFL history to lead his team outright in carries, rushing yards, rush touchdowns, receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns. He was the entire team. He rushed for 1,000. He had 107 receptions. He is going to be a threat to go 1,000 this year. And you know what? I want to be a part of it. And this is a guy, when you put him in a lineup with DJ Moore, Cam Newton with his shoulder being healthy, the one thing that I was always worried about with Christian McCaffrey is that you would often see Cam Newton calling his own number, And Newton probably will. He's still a threat to get 5. He's not a threat to get 12. And that is a huge thing. That is one of the reasons why I like Cam Newton this year, is that he still will get those rushing touchdowns, but not too much that it hurts Christian McCaffrey. So McCaffrey is one of the easiest picks for me. I feel like I should spend more time, but I feel like I don't have to convince you. Alvin Kamara is my number 2 guy, one of the most productive and efficient running backs in the NFL since he entered the league in 2017. He is 11th in touches, but 3rd in scrimmage yards, 1st in yards per touch, 2nd in scrimmage touchdowns, which is amazing for a guy who rarely touches the football. Now, with Mark Ingram out, Latavius Murray comes into the fold. They're going to rely on Latavius Murray a little bit. He's going to get his run, but Latavius Murray is not the receiver that Mark Ingram was, which means he's not going to factor as much into the passing game, which means there's going to be more opportunities for Alvin Kamara to go out there and get 1,000 yards. And I was going to make a hot take at some point and be like, there are going to be 3 running backs who get 1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving. But the thing is, I don't think Kamara is going to be able to do it rushing-wise, but he's going to more than make up for it receiving-wise. That's why I have him holding strong at number 2 right now. But you know what? It's one of those things that can change. If you wanted to draft Christian McCaffrey ahead of Alvin Kamara, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to try to talk you out of this. I'm not going to spend too much time going through all his awesomeness and all the amazing things that he's accomplished during his career. And really, I don't want to spend too much time on Saquon Barkley either. Accounted for the 2nd highest percentage of his team's scrimmage yards last year. And of course, that trails Ezekiel Elliott. No, it is not Christian McCaffrey or David Johnson or anybody like that. He was 3rd in NFL history in scrimmage yards by a rookie behind Eric Dickerson, Edgerrin James, who should be in the Hall of Fame. Saquon Barkley was 2nd in carries, 2nd in rushing yards, 5th in rushing touchdowns, and 2nd in receptions. 91 receptions. That's insanity to me. It's so crazy. 91 receptions. He is going to be a candidate to get 100 receptions because, again, there's not a lot going on with the Giants offensively. They've had a bunch of injuries at the wide receiver position. I don't know if it's going to be one of those instances where they're going to be relying on just one. Like, is Sterling Shepard going to be the guy? I don't know. But here's the thing, and I know a lot of people will bring this up, like, he's the only guy. They're going to stack the box. Yeah, they stacked the box in Adrian Peterson's 2nd season. You know who his quarterback was? Gus Frerotte and Tavares Jackson. You know who his leading receivers were in the Minnesota Vikings that season? Bobby Wade, Bernard Berrien, Matt Zeller, and Vashante Shinnico. One of those names didn't play in the NFL that season. He was a center at the University of San Diego. You don't know who it is, although you could probably figure it out. It was Matt Zeller. You didn't know, though. You just went with it. You rolled. You're like, oh, my God, that guy? So those are my top guys. I think that when you get to the top 3, there's really no argument. At some point, as the summer goes on, we'll start debating where we put Ezekiel Elliott. A lot of tread on those tires as well. At some point, maybe David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell start moving up, but I understand people are going to be a little bit apprehensive. Now, let's talk about the 5 worst running backs you can roster. And I'll breeze through these right now. And Derrick Henry is one of them. Already injured at training camp. He does this to us every year. He gets us fired up. We're ready to go. Hey, this is great. This is like anytime they make a brand new Superman. You're like, this is going to be it. Like this, I always tell my friends, like, this is going to be the Superman. Although I will say the Batman versus Superman picture was actually very good, about 30 minutes too long. But here's the thing with Batman versus Superman. You didn't need to have Darkseid at the end. Like, that's build up to that. Like, that should have been your cliffhanger. Leave something there. Leave something there for the second movie. Okay, and then you go out and then you defeat him in the second movie, but he kills Superman. And then the first Justice League is the Justice League fighting zombie Superman. But whatever, Derrick Henry, oh my God. I know that I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the guy who drafts Derrick Henry based on those last couple of weeks, but I should know better. I want to fall on that sword so you guys don't have to. Devonta Freeman is another guy who frightens me as well. He's been battling through some injuries. He goes way higher than his ADP should. Again, if you find him at a bargain, if he's at the rack, If he's the NFL fantasy version of the rack and you can find him, that's cool. Take him then. Another guy I'm really going to be avoiding this year is Josh Jacobs, only because when you compare him to David Montgomery. Again, I know that I've made this point plenty of times. John Gruden, only once in his career has he had a running back top 250 carries. That was Cadillac Williams in 2005. David Montgomery is going to be inheriting a role that gave 250 carries to Jordan Howard last year in an offense that does not suit him. So if you're looking at rookie running backs, this is the only way I'm going to quantify this. Don't let Josh Jacobs go above David Montgomery. I know you can say I'm a homer and all that ass. I don't care. LaShawn McCoy, another guy I really want to kind of avoid this season unless, you know what, if he ends up in Tampa Bay, if he gets released. Now, we're recording this on Wednesday. If he gets released, ends up in Tampa Bay, I will change my mind. I will give it a run with Bruce Arians just to be a receiver out of the backfield. But we can talk a little bit about that with the sleepers and guys that we do kind of want to look out for. But I did want to mention the Bengals RB1. A player I don't normally draft anyways, but coming into the season, I was a little excited about. You got Zach Taylor there. I know he's a little bit of an unknown quantity, but you know what? I said, when you think about it, like he could be the Todd Gurley of Cincinnati, helping Andy Dalton, and you got A.J. Green, but then A.J. Green just had ankle surgery. They hope that he's back in week. Dude, A.J. Green's not going to be back. The offensive line is already starting to get banged up and accumulating injuries. This is, again, I know that I'm stumping for Saquon Barkley and being like, well, you know, he's got these things. He's got, you know, he's the one-man show. I'm cool with that. Why not for Bengals RB1? It's like, you know what? I think Barkley's just way better. Just a way better player. And besides the fact that I don't draft the Bengals RB1, I see him. Like, I thought he was going to be a top 10 guy. I see him going at the end of the first round. Hard pass for me. Hard. You know what? Take him. Take him. Take the Bengals RB1. Right there at the end of the first round. See how that works out for you. I know there's still guys out there who'd love to go running back super early. And you know what? They're going to overdraft. Bengals RB1 is not going to be me. Now let's talk about a couple of sleepers. Aaron Jones. I am a big believer that they're going to run the football in Green Bay. You already see Matt LaFleur chirping a little bit, talking about how the Packers look a little sloppy. Now, he's not going to go out and try to change too much of Aaron Rodgers. He's not going to mess with them in the red zone and in a 2-minute drill, which is what Aaron Rodgers is like. Look, I'll listen to all your advice, but when it comes down to the red zone, when it comes down to the 2-minute drill, I'm going to be out there doing my own thing. But I like Aaron Jones this year. I like Marlon Mack if he can stay healthy. Andrew Luck already battling some injuries in training camp and being a little bit more diligent about letting the coaches know when he's injured. Marlon Mack, if he can stay healthy, will end up being an elite level running back. Kerryon Johnson, this Detroit Lions team, they hired the former Seahawks offensive coordinator, Darren Bevel, whatever, Bevel, DB. They hired that guy. During his time in Seattle, few, if any, teams ran the ball more than the Seattle Seahawks. That's exactly what the Lions are going to do. Defense, running the football. Obviously, Matt Patricia looks at the Patriots model. The Patriots finished 5th in rushing last year. They're ahead of the Dallas Cowboys in rushing. So don't tell me you don't need a running back. Jerry Jones, you don't have 3 running backs that you can rely on. And speaking of running backs that you can rely on, real sleepers, Damian Harris. Sonny Michel has any problems with his name. Damian Harris, who they drafted this season, could end up being one of those guys. Darrell Henderson, another one of those guys. Merely more than just the handcuffs, somebody who's going to find a role with this Rams offense and do some things for the coming season. Listen, coaches lie. And they could be like, no, Todd Gurley's fine. They don't draft a running back. Okay? They don't draft a running back like Darrell Henderson unless they plan to use him. He's not being drafted to be a backup. And also, we talked about Peyton Barber. That's a running back that I like. He's the number 1 running back in a Bruce Arians offense. I'm a huge fan of this. I'm not going to go out there and say that Peyton Barber is a league winner. This is going to be a player that people are going to wish they had rostered. that when they saw his availability there in the mid-rounds, they said, you know what, F it, I'm going to take a chance. Instead of spending it, some rando who's not going to do you any good, take a little bit of time, put some investment in a Peyton Barber. It'll pay off. Yeah, you might have to handcuff Ron Jones, but Ron Jones is probably not going to get it picked up anyways. But thank you so much for tuning in for this show on best, worst sleeper running backs of 2019, RB Council, whatever it is, whatever we're doing here. But thank you so much for checking it out. We appreciate it. We will have wide receivers next week, tight ends the following week. Maybe we'll do kickers, but probably not. Probably we're going to have to go through and start updating these too as players get injured. Things change, ratings change. So thanks so much. Check it out. Check out other work. If you could like and subscribe to this page, I would appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter at Adam Rank, on Instagram at Adam Rank NFL, just like the title here. And we'll see you soon.